So we've spoken a bit about how sort of software and particularly data is going to change the customer experience. Do you think this whole transformation is going to fundamentally change the type of relationships that manufacturers OEMs have with their customers?
Yes, and hopefully this will change. Again, I can only repeat myself. They have to be more customer centric.
Yeah.
And that's hopefully the way the OEMs will look at themselves to really put the customer in the focus.
Yeah. But as opposed to today, as a customer, you have a relationship with the OEM when you make the purchase, and then the only other times that you maybe engage when there's a problem or a service. Do you think that's going to change and there's going to be more ongoing interaction? Value?
Yeah. I mean, the possibilities and the enablers are there in order to have more and more interactions over the vehicle life cycle. The critical question is to really to create those possibilities, or to use those possibilities that it is perceived as beneficial for the customer.
Yes.
So I mean, having a car that is connected to the outside world, being able to display some messages, I would assume that you would not be delighted that that while you are driving, you would be receiving some marketing messages or whatever in your display.
Yeah.
Neglecting that it's not allowed from a driver disturbance thing, but the possibility is there. I want to say, and with the software-based feature on demand, for example, there are ways to interact, and therefore the possibility or the need to integrate the customer in that ecosystem, in the ecosystem of the OEM, or to create a suitable ecosystem and integrate into the customer's digital ecosystem.
Yeah.
That's quite critical.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I suppose there's a lot of norms with the consumers are used to when dealing with technology brands today. Do you think OEMs are going to have to learn these themselves?
Learn what? Could you repeat on that?
Yeah, just thinking that there's quite a lot of inherent norms that consumers have about how they expect technology brands to interact with them. As you say, being relevant when you talk to me, deliver value when you talk to me. Is this going to be, are OEMs going to have to relearn this or learn this for themselves, do you think, quite quickly?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, they of course they are cooperating with partners to infuse those that thinking, but they definitely have to adopt it or adapt it themselves, and rather sooner than later.
Yeah. And when we look at the whole sort of transition we've been speaking about, moving to the software-defined world, do you feel that all OEMs are in a similar place, or is there quite a significant range of diversity?
I would say that there is a diversity. If you look at the newer players, the Teslas, the Neos, and all the ones that we over here don't even know yet.
Yeah.
I think they have a fresh look on mobility, on the customer expectations, or on the fresh look on the customer. So they put really the customer in the center, and put the hard and software around it, instead of having the hardware, putting software in, and then having the customer, and looking how the customer could interact with the product.
Yeah.
So I think these new players, they bring in some fresh ideas. But on the other hand, course, you have the established OEMs with their budgets and the power to adopt that thinking. I was going to say quite fast, but maybe not as fast as they should be. But they have the power to adopt it. And I mean, for example, looking at Tesla versus Volkswagen, Tesla being perceived as the leader in electromobility. And now, if you look at the sold units, Volkswagen has overpassed Tesla, and so I think maybe then they're not the front runners, but they are the fast followers, and they are able to pass on the small players, and therefore we must not underestimate the power of the other ones.
Yeah. You think the large OEMs could catch up quite quickly?
Yeah. I mean, they have of course they have the legacy that they have to cope with, and established dealerships, established softwares, and backends, and the new ones they can start from scratch with a greenfield approach. So therefore, they don't have this hurdle or this burden of history. But I think this is going to change, and the OEMs have really seen and really are aware of that they have to transform them.
Yeah. Okay. You spoke a little bit before about the idea of your car becoming almost a home cinema on your drive, and it's a really good example, isn't it, of how we can potentially reimagine what a car could be. Do you think OEMs are pushing that envelope enough at the moment in terms of reimagining the car, or are they sort of taking small incremental steps based on yesterday?
I think they have a vision, and if you look at the show cars that they are presenting, they look quite visionary, and so therefore I don't think that they are neglecting what would be possible. But the thing is, or the critical thing is how to actually realize it, and I think an established OEM is rather doing incremental steps of improvements, because he has a business to run, and therefore is not able to really change it 360 degree, or really start from scratch. With the exception of some of the OEMs, they really use now the transition towards electromobility and create something from the scratch. If we look at Volvo with Polestar, for example, that's quite an interesting move to maybe instead of just incrementally improve, to do something quite new on a new platform, with also with a different way or approach when it comes to software and connectivity. Sometimes they are using these opportunities, or some of them are using the opportunities to at least take a bit of a bigger incremental step.
Yeah. And do you think, is that going to be more common, do you think, where the sort of existing OEMs almost cut away from their legacy models and range and create an entirely new range?
I would say this is more an example. With now that big change going on with the move towards electromobility, that's maybe that's a one-time opportunity that they have, because if you look at the established OEMs, they have their so-called bread and butter models, and they cannot move away from that with just a radical cut. And again, looking at Volkswagen, they are moving away from the Golf now towards the ID3 or ID4, with that opportunity of moving towards electromobility.
Yes. Okay. And then finally, just a lot of what we've been speaking about feels like it's about OEMs transitioning to become more like software companies. Are there any quick and easy, or maybe big lessons that the OEMs can learn from the big hyperscale tech businesses out there? Your softwares, your Microsofts and your Amazons, your Googles.
Yes, my favorite topic being customer centric, putting the customer in the focus, and then be more agile, with fast decisions, bold decisions, having some speedboats in order to really be agile, be quicker. Be more respondent to what the customer wants. I think that's really what they need to aim for.